So, good evening and welcome everybody to the second Bravetalk AMA. Today we have the project Drunk Skunk Drinking Club over here, and I'm very excited. From the Drunk Skunk Drinking Club team, there is Jay with me. Jay, could you please introduce yourself to the crowd? Great to have you here.
Hey, thank you, Phil. Yeah, my name's Jay. I am the COO for Drunk Skunks Drinking Club, and here to just talk about the three parts to the project: NFTs, Stink, our token, and then the real life beer business. And we're excited to be here with Brave Lounge. We had such a fun time with that promotion that we did last week that we were just absolutely excited to come back and so stoked to be one of your first AMAs here. So thanks for having us, Phil. We're really excited to be here, man.
Perfect. That's great. We love to have you here. So, could you maybe give us straight at the start a brief introduction to the team? How did you get the idea to start the project? How did you guys start out?
Oh man, yeah, I would love to talk about it. Yeah, and just, to everybody that's joining us right now, we just want to welcome you to the club. We would love to have you join the club. And for us, the Drunk Skunks Drinking Club membership really is all you need is an NFT, right? So all you need is one NFT and you're in the club, and you can pick one up on secondary for right around 0.1 BNB where the floor is at. So, for us, the entry is so low, it's accessible. We're having fun. You guys that have come over from Brave Lounge and Speedy, and guys that have come over from Brave Lounge have been an awesome addition to the club. So, coming back here, we'd love to have more of your members join us and pick up an NFT too. But yeah, to talk about the team, man, absolutely, we'd love to. There's four of us on the core team. And so, I'm Jay, I'm the COO, and I deal mainly with PR as the voice of the club. So it fits my background in real life because I've worked as PR executive, corporate trainer. I've worked in leadership training for different sectors like government and education here in the United States. So for me to be here in the club, man, this is a really, really great transition for me. And, before I even get into everybody's bio, I just wanted to say that all four of us are full-time crypto. So we're full-time in this space. So the professional careers that I'm talking about are gone for us, right? We've moved on. We've gone full-time here. So whether that's due to successes in the development side or the investment side, whatever that might have been that's led us here, I just think it's important to know that, your team is working full-time on this project. So, I like to know that about a team. If somebody's trying to do a part-time job and trying to maybe half-ass this one or whatever, for me, it's important to note that. And also to note that this is a passion project for us. So, I think a lot of the reasons for our success have been the fact that we don't need to pay ourselves here, in terms of, paying our bills and making sure that we pay ourselves immediately from profits from the project. So it's allowed us to pour this money back into the project, which I think, for not only if you, for marketing, if you see our AMA schedules that we do, it's pretty obvious that that's what we're doing and that we don't have to slit the throat of the project early on to really, to pay ourselves. So I think that's important to note. Along with the
Absolutely.
fact that we're all full-time crypto, and I
Absolutely.
always like to know that about the team.
I tend to say you invest in a team with these very, very early and small projects. And if you have a team that can dedicate all their time to the project and they don't need the funds coming out of the project, that's the best position that you can be in as a team. If you have a long-term vision, and you told me about a real life brand that we will touch later on. That's very exciting, very cool. It's also rare. A lot of people that are in the roster, they still work there, or they work their full-time jobs and do crypto as a hobby. So you're basically professionals, and I really like that. What can you tell us about
Thank you. Yeah.
the history? How did you find together? How did you meet?
Yeah, so the four of us, for us forming this, I know a lot of people ask about how we came up with the idea and everything, but for the four of us, it was really about us being friends and kind of having conversations about, what do we want to do? What's our passion project that we want to do? Let's do a project together. So this is the first time that all four of us have ever worked together on a project like this. So, we came up with stuff that we are passionate about because, like I said, we're kind of in that position. So we love NFTs. We love staking. We love passive income. And, obviously we love craft beers and trying new beers and doing different stuff like that. So, we put it all together, and kind of the four of us that sat around having some beers together formed that drinking club. And, we wanted to bring it to everybody. And, the phrase drunk as a skunk came up, and it was just going. We never seen skunk NFTs. So, the four of us kind of came together with those ideas and that fusion and had that synergy of ideas. And so that was a little bit just about my background. But Randy, as our CFO, he actually runs the beer business for us. And so his background, he has been a business entrepreneur for the past 20 years and, started his own businesses and sold them for profit. And now he's full-time here. But what makes Randy great for this project is that he's done it in the restaurant industry, the bar industry, and the beer industry for the past 20 years. So like all of his connections and all of his resources and networks that we have are all in place from his previous work. That makes it so much easier on each step of the way, whether it be him picking up the phone and someone picking up on the other end, right? I mean, sometimes it's just answering that call, not having to wait days and weeks and cold calling. And when we need marketing for the beer line, there's the contact. When we need distribution, boom, there it is. So like Randy's jump started everything, and he's about to be dropping some serious news for us here for the beer line coming up in the next couple weeks. So again, it's just kind of stay tuned and watch that progress. He's been working a lot behind the scenes, several meetings this week with finalizing a few big items, and can't wait to get some of that news out. So that's Randy. Lou is our CEO. He specifically works with the staking protocol and oversees some of the big picture items for development. And Lou's background is great for that because he's worked as a financial analyst and financial consultant for some really nice companies and now full-time here with the club. But, he's focusing on specifically overseeing the staking protocol to allow for sustainable long-term returns, but also high value. Because we've all seen like projects that promise crazy high 8 billion% APY, and we know where they're at now, right? So that can't be us because we have that in real life beer business to fuel. And we believe that in real life beer business, as I'll share with a little bit later on, those profits will be looped back into the protocol for staking. And I believe that will really skyrocket this project and make it stand out in a lot of different ways. So the last member of our team, Ace, is absolutely awesome. He's works in our chat all the time. He comes from a business background and a management background. So when he comes with that mindset and that perspective, but also, Ace is just such a cool guy. Like he's so fun, friendly, welcoming, and really, really manages things well in his own style and his own way. So we just love having Ace on board as our CIO and managing the community and engaging our members and everything else that we do together too. So Ace is a big part of this project, as are all of our 4 team members. And I think that we pride ourselves on the fact that we are actively engaged in the chat. So when you come in and people are saying, wow, this is one of the most, lit chats in BSC, like I come in here, it's fun, it's friendly, it's welcoming, there's always activity. And I think that is in part to one of the things that I like to brag about is that at any given moment, round the clock, 24/7, a core team member around in the chat, we're hanging out in the chat. And, I think that most of us, just because we love it, but also we have intentionally staffed it that way, like round the clock. So, one of us will be covering while the other person's sleeping and everything else. Like it's that big of a deal to us to have a core team member represented in the chat. Of course we have mods and you can cover chats with mods and everything else. That's fine. But just to emphasize the importance of the community, we feel like that's an important piece too. So that's a little bit about the core team, Phil. I know we have our partners. We've got Sphinx Labs. We've got Rareboard. We've got so many new partnerships to drop with Angel Dust. With I can't even preview them yet because we're getting ready to drop 2 new partnerships over the next 2 weeks that will be game changers for the club and for our investors, that will give them so much more value and utility. And I wish I could throw those names out right now, but we're going to wait to go through the process. But just know that next 2 weeks, 2 big partnerships. And we do give, a shout out to all the AMA lounges and everybody that has partnered with us, and helped us promote this project. And Phil, one more thing too, invitations, just to show that the community support from lounges. Every single lounge posted us, and didn't ask for anything in return. They reposted us. So every single lounge that we did an AMA with, or that we did a promotion with, went back and reposted information for mutants. And do you know how rare that is? I mean, you're talking like Caesars, Hulk, like big lounges, huge lounges, smaller lounges, everybody. It was A to Z. So I just felt like that just made us feel great about it. And it's also bullish for the future, because when we go to drop more news, etc., down the line, we have new additions, new utilities, like we're going to continue on and on and on, and we have something big, we can rely on them to help promote and post us. So it's a great network that we've established, probably close to between 30 and 40 different lounges.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, and it also shows that you do a lot of things right. Like if you manage to build that cult-like following as a project, you basically succeeded. And that's what brings the attention of influencers to your project. What I'm very excited of is the real life business aspect of the project. This is like something that I value a lot, because we all know that the crypto market is a great market, but it's a very small and young market. And if you can pull money from the real world to the crypto world, in my opinion, that's very, very, very wise to do as a project. Jay, do you have a presentation, like a full presentation of the project here?
Yeah, I can give you a quick project overview if you'd like, Phil, and then we can go, like you said, that the last part that I talk about typically is the beer business. So I usually go in that order of NFTs, stink, and then beer, just because you'll kind of see how that flow goes, because it makes sense with staking and kind of having that flow. But I'm happy to go through it, and you can stop and ask questions whenever you want, if you'd like.
Perfect. Let's do it that way. Great team. And also, I really like the fact that you spend a lot of time with your community. I think a project like this needs it, and you will profit hugely off this if you keep on doing that, and you're always in touch with your investors. You said it yourself, like mods, they do the job, but if you really bind with the people, that's something completely different. So let's move on in the presentation, and I just jump back in when I have any questions.
That sounds good. Yeah. And, also just to go along with that, the chat comment that you made, thank you for the compliment. Yeah. And also we do that because it's fun too. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this is work. Like, it's fun, man. I mean, the people that we have in our chat, there's some serious NFT investors, but there's also the crowd that we have. They're hilarious. I mean, great senses of humor, and I love it. I love seeing what they come up with in the chat. I mean, they crack me up. So it's just really enjoyable. And I think that that's one of the reasons for the success too, is people come and see the community. And I mean, check this out. We're looking at 30-day volume, and look at 2 of our collections are in the top 4. And if you look at who we're with 2 amazing projects. I mean, Pancake Squad. It's Pancake Swap's NFT project that's been fully minted for, how long now? I mean, we're honored to be even in the top 4 with Pixel Sweeper, which is Rareborn. I mean, the 2 other projects that are in this top 4, we're absolutely honored to be with them. And for us, it's a huge compliment when you look at some of the analytics that we're in this grouping with these guys. So, and I point that out too, because I don't know if people realize that we are, one of the top NFT projects BNB chain right now. So, and if you're looking at it aside from Pancake Squad, which is obviously a massive project, we are the top BNB chain NFT right now. So I just wanted to point that out too. And, talk about the NFTs, because they're so fun. They're really cool. But they also, not only visually, but they also have a lot of value and utility to them. So when I talk about the NFTs, that there's 5,605 NFTs on BNB chain, and they're fully minted. So we sold out in a bear market, and I think that it's worth noting that we did that pretty quickly when you're looking at the big picture of the project. So for us, now you can purchase them on secondary, right? So you can buy them on Rareboard, NFT Key, or OpenSea, and that's really how you can join the club right now. So like the NFTs for us, obviously we had to pack them full of value and utility in this market in order to sell any. But the fact that we sold out in a bear, I think it should grab your attention, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
these NFTs,
And
yeah,
if I can add something, like, we had a small conversation before that AMA, and I told you I'm not the biggest NFT guy. I have a few. And actually, the fun thing is I have two of the ones that share the top spots with you guys. And this makes me very, very bullish, because I know these are huge projects and good people working behind it. And if you manage to climb that fast in a bear market situation on the BSC, where basically NFT projects always had a hard time, you bring something that people appreciate and that people like, and the art looks great. Like, I definitely like the art. So we are talking about the utility aspect to the NFTs. What utility do the NFTs have currently?
yeah, they're just packed full of it too, and continuing to expand and add things. So, like when you're looking at them visually, they're cool. Like you had said, they look great, but it's behind it, right? Like what's the meat of this? Like what is actually behind it that's holding it up? And they're stakeable, they're mutatable, they're tradable. You have a social club instant membership with that exclusivity, first access, DAO-like atmosphere that we're going to continue to develop. We've only touched on the surface of that. And the rares will have a higher staking APY, and there's benefits to holding them. There's benefits to keeping the original OG skunks, that you'll need them plus your mutant to create a hybrid. So there's just so much to it that, in addition to those 5,605, we also have 50 legendary skunks, which I think, people love. There's probably one that jumps out to everybody. And, I'm holding my Kruger, which is my PFP, and I mutated it. And the mutants for legendaries, I think, are just next level. So we really set out to kind of gift all of these away. At first, we were going to auction and then use it for buybacks and some things like that, or rewards. But we ultimately wanted to gift these. So we have gifted all 50 in one way or another, with the exception of the 4 core team members legendaries, which are our PFPs. So for us, to gift those 50 was a cool part of the project. We had these kind of written as the backstory was that these 50 drunk skunks legendaries, these are the founding fathers of the drinking club, right? So this is like the filthy 50. They got together, they got drunk for the first party and just started it all. So like for us to gift those was a really cool accomplishment, and we managed to give away the last one for our last contest. But they have continued to raise, in terms of a higher value, and maintain a higher value and sell for 5 BNB plus. So I'll talk about some of those sales too. But a lot of the ones that have been selling for a lot of money on secondary have been our rare skunks. And I think that for a project like this, a visual project, I love that the skunk's rarity jumps out at you from the skin. So if you guys can see, the NFT rarity, primary rarity, is based on the skin of the skunk. So, you can see, like, we had some fun with the names of the tiers, right? So the drunk is the zombie, the wasted is the robot, hammered is cheetah, lit is diamond, sloshed is trippy, and tipsy is the solid gold. And then our buzzed tiers is our black fur skunks. So, and true rarity too. Like if you look at the percentages, 0.3% are zombies. So those have been roughly 17 in the collection. Robots right around 70. So like that's a true rarity when you look at it, when you're thinking about collections that have, 5,555, some of them will have, 2,000 rare skunks. And it's like, well, that's, not really rare. So for us, I think it was important to maintain that, rarity level. And I think it paid off for a lot of investors. Not only do they look cool, they look clean, but they're also, and I'm going to come back to this, but they're also selling for really high value for our holders. Think about this. If you minted this one right here, this zombie, for 0.15 BNB, and you sold it for 5 BNB, I mean, you're doing really great flipping an NFT. But on the other side, on the buyer side, you're looking at picking this up and mutating it, and the mutants will have a 10x staking weight and a higher value because there's gone a toxic beer and 15K stink have gone into that process, which I'm happy to talk about later too. But just noting real quick that these legendary sales are 5 BNB plus. The zombies are 5 BNB, 3 BNB. All the rares for 2.5 BNB plus. 2 BNB here. One, like, they're all selling for a really nice value for our holders, and I think that they're maintaining that value. We had a couple sell before the AMA today for one sold for 0.8 BNB and then one sold for 1 BNB. So when you're talking about the value of these skunks, not only can you mutate them, not only do they have that club membership, you can stake them, but I wanted to also point out that you do have the rare skunk value that's kind of built into these NFTs, as I showed you here. And I think that a lot of that, of course, kind of comes down to the fact that you can use these immediately to stake. So for us, it was important to get staking live as soon as we could. And we had said, okay, we're going to try to get it live. We'll get it live within 1 week. Well, we had it live within 24 hours of our launch. So that's phase one that you see there.
Perfect.
And
Perfect.
was live, right? And then, phase two is currently live. So you can stake your stink. And so what happens here, I think a lot is that our big holders, our whales, or even our new holders, they'll come and they'll stake their NFTs, they'll earn stink, and then they'll stake their stink with Sphinx Labs. So they'll earn even more. And I think that that's what's caused some protection on the chart. And we've seen some selling lately too. But a lot of times what happens is they're selling stink for BNB and then buying NFTs with the BNB and keeping the money in the project. As you can see from that 30-day volume, that's been the trend. And so, while you see dips on the stink chart, I think that the OG holders, man, they're holding on to it, or they're buying the dip and they're continuing to buy back the chart. So, they see our aggressive burn schedule that we have. They see that the team working. They see the new utilities that are coming. So people are still bullish on stink, and I think that really goes a long way to protecting the chart. So
that's great. You mentioned Sphinx Labs, so I guess they are a staking provider to your project. Can you share the rates of the staking, the current rates of the token staking with the investors?
Yes, sure. So for the NFT staking, you're going to earn 1,000 stink tokens per month per NFT. And, at market, obviously price fluctuates on what your ROI is, but early on the ROI for these NFTs was close to 3 weeks. So, it just depends on what you bought it for. It depends on when you bought it. So to do that ROI calculation is a little bit challenging, with the NFTs, and specifically we also did flash sales too, Phil. So that changes it really changes how you've DCA'd a lot of these NFTs and what your overall return and value is going to be on them. Because originally, early on, this is kind of crazy, but we did buy one, get one NFTs during AMAs. So we had people that were averaging down quite a bit to get 0.075 as an average, when you're buying one and getting one free. And then we switched to buy two, get one free for our members during AMAs as a way to just have fun, have participation in the AMAs, and have a big crowd show up and generate some sales for new members in the club too, as a nice point of entry. So we've kind of done all of those.
That's a very smart move on the marketing and community side. I want to congratulate you on that move. I think that's something a lot of projects can learn from you guys. And this is also going in this cult-like following direction, once again, that we spoke of earlier. Because if you motivate people to really put in the work and carry the brand message out there, you can have a lot more fun. So that's great. the rarity increases your API. This is basically what we already touched. Something that I'm pretty curious is I saw 2 NFT projects from you on the chart before. We had once the Drunk Skunk Drinking Club, and then we had the Toxic Beer collection. Could you maybe just walk us through once how the whole process works? Because I know for a fact that a lot of people are not educated when it comes to NFT projects, and they sometimes feel overwhelmed. Oh, there is one collection, there is another collection, there is a token. I can stake that. So maybe can you just give us a short breakdown? If I have a portion of money, I want to put it into the project, what's the way to go?
Yeah. So first question for sure, that the simplicity of the collections right now. Really, there's really one main collection, right? And that's our OG Skunks 5,605 Skunks NFTs on BNB chain. And then we also have the toxic beer, which is just used to mutate your skunk. So while we have 2 collections, imagine that 2 of those are in the top 4 right now. And that's the big picture 30-day, right? So, the one collection isn't even really a collection that is being actively traded as far as a traditional collection would be based on rarity and all of that. It's a utility NFT that is only used for the mutation process. And I did quickly, I think, go through these 4 phases. You mentioned phase 3, the rarity increases your APY. That's dropping. The initial stages of that will be dropping on or before January 30th, because we have mutant staking going live for a 10x staking weight. So there's a lot of reasons for you to want to mutate your skunk, like you mentioned the other collection. But before I move on to the next slide and start talking about that a little bit, phase 4 of the staking protocol is something that I think not only Randy but everybody is getting hyped about, and we can't wait to inch closer to that. I think in Q2 we will be live with commercial sales of the Drunk Skunks Pale Ales and Lagers here in the U.S., and we will loop back the profit sharing to our holders. So again, that's a tokenization type model where we have revenue sharing, we have profit from the commercial sales of the beer. We take that profit, tokenize it, and then fire that back to our staking pool for profits for our holders and that are actively staking. So for us, that does a huge boost for us in terms of 2 things, right? One, it provides an outside revenue stream from something other than crypto, which is great. But it also, second, comes from basically a recession-proof industry, right? Alcohol sales in the U.S. have been recession-proof, and even the inverse is a bit true historically as well. During tougher times, people drink more, and it's sad to say, right? But I mean, it's true. And people drink regardless. They drink to celebrate. They drink when they're happy. They drink when they're sad. They drink for special occasions. People drink. If they drink, right? And so it's a recession-proof hedge to the volatility that we have in the markets that we live in. And I think that for us, not only is it going to deliver high value, but it's also going to smooth out the ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I always like tokenization of profits of real life businesses. You know that I'm also involved in one project that does that, and I think that's the future. I think that a lot of real life businesses can be or can have a blockchain aspect. Can you go a bit into detail how the revenue share model works? Like what's what are the prices on the beer? Do you already have the numbers behind it?
No, we do not. We are really early on in that stage right now. But in terms of closing that gap, it can be very. I don't want to say it, but it can, because of Randy's background, it can be very quickly finalized in a lot of different ways. So yeah, and it's just kind of like 30,000 foot view type of thing, Phil, where we have we'll have the profit from the beer business tokenized and then looped back into the staking protocol. So for us, that's really the big picture. But the specifics like price per beer, price per 6-pack, and what we project the percentage of net profit to be, and what we project the volume of sales to be, we just are too early on with the process to really finalize that. But again, I think it's coming, and I think Q2 will give us a lot of success for DSDC here in the project with the beer line.
Great stuff. You said we're too early, and I can fully understand it. Like, you guys crushed the roadmap basically already. Just a quick question: for how long are you around? For long is the project in existence?
How long has the project been kind of going on? I think that question kind of takes us back to January, February of this year. So, of last year. So it's probably been since 2022, in January was when we kind of began formulating these ideas, and we were even considering launching on ETH in February, but we paused that whole process, and then the market kind of had some dips and really went down over the summer for us. We kind of kept developing behind the scenes and developing, and I think it ended up being a really positive thing for us, because we went ahead and kind of pumped the brakes and said, like, let's get into developing all of the utility and like you said, the roadmap, and let's make some kind of headway and advanced progress ahead of a launch, so that we can do things like, get that utility out quicker. And so for us, it was really development of ideas, artwork, and refinement that took place from that time. But it has been a year. We launched in October, the token, Stink, and we went live with the mint early October. So we've been around for 3 months, and Stink has been launched coming up on 3 months next week. So for us, kind of a year in development and then 3 months live.
Great. Like, sometimes 3 months sound like a long time to people and to investors on the BSC especially, but to build a real life brand and a real life business, that's not a lot of time. You're basically just starting out, and you took great care of the on-chain side of things. So I'm very looking forward to that real life business that you're about to pull off.
You want to talk about the mutation real quick, Phil? Like, tell them about that part of it, just because I think that's something that's actively going on, that maybe if your members are joining the club, they probably wouldn't necessarily jump in and understand right away. If you think that's
absolutely, this was something that I wanted to ask you anyway, because that's what I wanted to know from my question earlier. Like, if I jump into the project, what do I have to do to get the most out of it? Which possibilities do I have? I know I can hold the token, I can stake the token, but the mutation side of things really caught my interest.
Yeah, you did ask me that too, Phil. So yeah, I think that when you're jumping in, if you're asking the question, like you would kind of ask, where do I put my funds in the project? Maybe this will help to answer that question too, because I can just tell you about, a lot of people, when they first join the project, they'll buy an NFT, they'll buy, so they're in the club, they'll buy the NFT, they'll buy some stink, and then they'll pick up a toxic beer, and then they'll mutate their skunk. So that's one of the cool features of this project too, is that, your skunk can mutate into something visually that looks really cool. Like, they look awesome. They also have some utility that we've only begun to tease out. First of all, the 10x staking weight, it's hard to ignore that when you're talking about, should I mutate or not, but also the value that they could hold for you, of not only having a higher floor price right now, about a 4x, I think, floor price of the OG skunks, but also the 10x staking weight that you're going to get out of it before, January 30th, on or before that date, we go live. So just check out the mutants real quick. They just look so cool. I just wanted to share some pictures with you guys. The rares, just have that cool, a lot of them have that cool melting effect. But something to note that we did with this, and visually, I think it really paid off, was that each attribute on the skunk mutates. So it's a holder created collection of 5,605 NFTs, going from that number to 1,500 mutants only. So we don't know what what our holders are going to mutate. They might mutate the 1,500 best RS NFTs. They might mutate out of that range and create a collection that we were surprised about, that could influence the new RS of mutants. So this whole process has been not only fun, but also very interesting from an investor's perspective too. you know. So to answer your question, you can buy 15K in stink, you can buy a toxic beer, and you can buy an NFT, and then you go to mutate your skunk. And it's a really easy process. When you go to our mutation DApp, you basically just select the NFT that you want, and then you approve the contracts for the toxic beer and stink, and it just debits 1 toxic beer and 15K stink for each mutation that you selected automatically, and then you claim your mutant skunk instantly. And so, you know, we tried to make it a really fun and user-friendly process too, you know.
Something that like the art is great. I stressed that already. I go as far, you know, guys, everything is not financial advice. Do your own research. You know that already. But I go as far that I say, like, I really like the brand. Like, the branding is great. Something that is very important with young and ambitious projects, and I know that you have a revenue source later on, but our revenue streams for the project to keep everything running. I know that you told me that you don't rely on the funds personally, but the project does. So what are your current income streams for the project?
Yeah, so we have the income streams. We have the tax on the token. We have the volume from the sales, and we have the mint funds from the NFTs that we sold, the 5,605. So it's a healthy ecosystem financially right now. The volume that we get obviously is used for a variety of different things that we have for the project, but we're also constantly, I can't emphasize this enough, constantly developing and marketing. So that has not stopped at all since we've been going here. And so, like, for development right now in the background, the development of the mutant staking DApp, the mutant staking protocol, phase 3 of the staking protocol, you know, has been definitely fast and furious behind the scenes. And then the other piece to it is all of the art development for the hybrid collection. And we also have a collection we've been teasing, just kind of the name of it, as SKUNKS. So there's the art and the development for that project. There's also all the collaborative work we have for these partnerships, which will add utility. So there's the development on those as well. Like, we will be, and I'll talk about this maybe more with Stink, but with Stink, we will be the only one of 3 tokens to operate on Angel Dust's platform, along with Angel Dust, BNB, and Stink. So the exclusivity of that for our members and the utility that will add to Stink, I think, is huge. It will allow our members to use Stink to create raffles for their own collection or their own NFT or whatever they want to put up for raffles. So it's stuff like that that's constantly dropping. I have 2 more in the back of my mind that are going to allow our members to pay with Stink. And so, you know, the utility for Stink, I think, when we talk about these 3 different things, NFTs, Stink, and the beer, they each are separate, but they work together so well. And that synergy can support each other in the ecosystem. But when one takes off, it'll bring the other up with it. And that's what we're looking to do with specific targeted marketing at each stage.
Great, great. From a business perspective, are you a registered company already? Do you, like, with the offline business, you have to get a registered company at one point? Is this something that you already took care of? Where do you want to register? And how will the whole system work then? Like, how do you get the funds from fiat back into crypto to get into this revenue share model?
Yeah, so to answer your question, Randy has licensed the beer business as a fully legit and licensed business. So yes, the beer business, obviously, not only do you have to have that, but you have to have probably 10,000 other things to be able to sell alcohol here in the United States. So Randy has just been, like, feverishly working behind the scenes at that. I know he met with our legal team to get some more progress. I believe he met with them yesterday and had another meeting with them this morning. So yeah, it's just constant behind the scenes, you know, obviously jumping through the hurdles that we have, over the hurdles that we have to kind of pass through to get to the main goal of selling that product here in the States. And he's working within states here, you know, in the US that will allow him to kind of get it out quicker. For example, he has had some established work in Florida, Texas, and Ohio. So for him to start there makes more sense because it will allow for reciprocity and just getting off the ground quicker. So that's kind of where he's taken things with the beer line and the business. But yeah, to answer your second part of your question, you know, again, just looking at the big picture of it, it would be that the net profits will be used to loop back to the holders. So it'll be tokenized, and the tokenization of those profits will be shared back.
Maybe just one question on the token before we move to something else. How are your tokenomics? Like, do you have fees on the token? I guess you have fees on the token, and where do these fees go?
Yeah, absolutely. It's 8% and on buys and sells. So it's in and out, 8%. And then, you know, when you're looking at that as an investor, you're looking at that going, you know, all of that going back to you. So, you know, our taxes have to do with marketing, development, staking, and LP.
Perfect.
And so for us, you know, those taxes have fluctuated a bit and been adjusted a bit, but all of those in this order, right? So marketing, development, staking, and LP in a 3-2-2-1. So those have all kind of, when you're thinking about it, they're all going back to you in some way, whether it be directly via staking, whether it be proactively via marketing, or you know how that is, to also keeping healthy the LP and the development side of the project. So that's kind of where the taxes are, and they've worked out well so far for us. And we've also done quite a bit, kind of like a zero tax buys and things like that along the way to boost the project up at strategic times.
Perfect. Just one quick question also on the security side. I know that you guys are established people in the space, and you will also run a real life business. So at least one of your team will be kind of doxed with that business, I guess. Did you do any audit? Do you work together with somebody that takes care that your contracts are safe for investors, that there are no backdoors, anything like that already done or planned?
Yeah, absolutely. From the beginning, it was important for us to promote safety within the project because it's things that we look for as investors when we're trying to not get rugged or scammed, right? So for us, you know, we want to make sure that our investors feel the same way because this is our project, this is our passion project. So KYC, audit, SAFU badges with Pink Sale for our launch. And then, of course, as you mentioned, it's a social club. So doxing is not really like a huge issue, especially when you have, you know, I think Lou has doxed as the CEO and Randy as the CFO for the beer business. You know, when you register as a company, as an entity, you're doxing, right? So for us, I think it was a non-issue there. So investor safety, obviously at the forefront, but also the nature of the business requires that too.
Okay, that's great to hear. I like that you did KYC and audit. I think it's the bare minimum. If you really want to push a project, you have to prove to investors these days that you're serious, and with stuff like that, you definitely show that. And I think you can never do enough audits for a project like that, and you can also get some marketing aspect from these audits. With your beer brand, I also see huge opportunities in the offline market to attract more investors and pull traffic from there. I just had a quick glance on the clock, and I really don't want to interrupt you because I enjoy your presentation and I really like the art, but we kind of have to have a bit an eye of the clock because we want to make it short and compact so the investors get all the information in a reasonable amount of time. And I could spend like hours with you talking about this project. So which parts of the project did we not touch yet that you plan to do in your presentation?
Yeah, I can just do it real quick, minute or two here. But yeah, you know, I think that we touched on a lot. The mutation side of things is also kind of important to note the burn that's connected to the token. So when you're looking at it from the side of an investor, you want to know where those tokens are going. So for the purchase and the minting of the toxic beers, for 1 through 100, we sold those for 25,000 stink tokens. And so first of all, 1,000 were airdropped for the early buyers of numbers 51 through 1050. And then for 1 through 100 of the 500 available for sale, we sold them for 25,000 stink tokens, and they sold in about less than 5 minutes. And then
Nice.
101 through 300 for 50,000 stink, sold in, I think, less than 24 hours, 48 hours, right around that mark. And then 301 to 400 sold after that. And we had one investor that bought $16,000 worth of those beers in that range to mutate his collection. So, bullish for stink, because what we're doing with that is 75% would be burnt, 25% will go to the staking pool. And with the mutation fees, 50% will go to the burn, 50% will go to the staking pool. So, you can imagine what that's going to do when we've committed to burning 35% of our supply just from the toxic beer sales. And so that's just one thing I wanted to mention about stink. The utility for stink is obviously right now mainly in its staking, but as I mentioned, Angel Dust raffle system and pay with stink. The big picture, and I think you'll like this one, Phil, but the big picture is that if you stake your NFTs and you earn stink, you stake your stink, you earn even more. You can turn around and pay with stink and buy your beer with stink. So our goal is like you can stake for beer like you're earning passive beer, and keep it all in the DSDC ecosystem. And that's our goal with pay with stink too, which I've just started to hint at, and we've got more coming for that. So
Great.
yeah, just a little bit about the mutation. I think that was one thing I wanted to note, and a little bit of the utility for
For
stink.
me, Jay, for me as a European, there is another big question. I outed myself as not the biggest alcoholic in the beginning, but if I find something very creative and very likable in the space, I'm most likely to spend my money on it. So can I get my hands on your beer as well as a European?
Yeah, Randy definitely has some ideas to get beer into holders as our holders in our club internationally. But as far as international sales, definitely in the plans for expansion, but we obviously need to start domestically here in the US first, not only for, legal purposes, but also sustainability too, Phil. Like, we've done everything with this project in order to have a slow organic moon on this project. So like, we have not rushed anything. We've not spent funds irresponsibly ahead of time. We've just been really organically growing at a nice pace. So we would do the expansion internationally in the same way. We would start domestically here, even within the states, within states that we are comfortable with, the networks and legal framework, then expand to other states here. And based on our success, man, scale it out and go international. I know that we have a lot of German members, and we'd love to get a Drunk Skunks Drinking Club official bar or brewery or product line for the beer, in Germany first. That would be one of our top international destinations we would seek out first. I think that, are you in Austria? I think
I'm in Austria, but Austria, Germany are very strong beer regions, and the top, if my information isn't already a bit old, but the top should be the Czech Republic. They drink a lot of beer, so maybe that's also a market that you can position yourself. And just as a feedback to your question, I really like what you tell me, because a lot of projects, they would just have told me, we're about to do an online shop and you can buy it there. But that's just not the way to go with a real life business, The wheels, they just turn a bit slower in the real world, and have to know where to start and how to design it, especially like you said it, sustainable and also reasonable. And I like that you're an honest team. I also like that you don't announce a lot of stuff beforehand. Like you said, you have some partnerships upcoming, exciting stuff. And if you're under promising and over delivering, that keeps people with the project, that keeps people entertained. And that's what I would suggest any project coming here to do so. Jay, are you fine with some questions? I already asked the people in the chat to link me. If they have any questions they want to ask in the chat, they are free to do so. But also to the investors in the voice chat, guys and girls, the stage is yours. Everybody in here is unmuted, and everybody that wants to ask a question, feel free to do so. Please don't interrupt other speakers. Give the people the time to ask their question and also Jay to answer. And beside that, a lot of credit to you, Jay. I know that you're a professional host, but beside that, the presentation was just very, very good. I liked it a lot. The art is great. And now whoever has a question to Jay, just unmute yourself and go for it.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Yeah, and I'd be happy to hang out and answer whatever you guys have, for sure.
We will also...
Hey, Jay.
I knew it. I knew it.
I have to say that was a very, very great armor. That was not time rush. We can hear about the project. Phil asked it the perfect question for the community. That is awesome. And the next question is, you DM me and you ask me for this Brave Stink song. What do you think about that we sing it together? I sing the verse.
Ja, das ist Verpflegung und Taschengeld.
I sing the first verse and the last verse of 33, we sing together. What do you think about that?
Speedy, I don't know about my singing voice, but I heard you had a ukulele that you were going to bust out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. There is already a Brave launch song. So if we now have a Drunk Skunk Drinking Club song on recording as well. But Speedy, would you be fine with me just checking for questions in the meantime?
Yes, yeah, no problem,
don't make
problem.
it too long. I know we had a long singing session last time, so keep it to the mandatory. And you're very welcome to present your song as well in here.
Yeah, but please, if you want, please let the community ask the questions. That's more important, I think.
Hey, little introduction to myself. I'm CEO of Peer Network, and we also did a Bier, and we know how hard it is to go into the markets. So what was our experience is we needed to give out a lot of free samples, a lot, for like one case, like 20 beers. And with beer designs, especially like we were in a German market with an American beer, we partnered up with Vagabond Brauerei. So our problem was that people are not ready to buy a new beer, and especially a beer that doesn't look like classical beer design. I don't know how in America it is, but like how you are going to overcome this challenge. Do you have like a big budget for like marketing and giving out free samples? But these free samples will like really fuck up your expenses. So how you are gonna deal with the problem of a very saturated market where it's a very difficult and very high price to entry?
Yeah, here in the States, it's pretty similar in terms of competition, like you're saying. And I think that it's definitely a challenge because there's so many different microbreweries, but that want to get their beer out there. However, just with Randy's background and having, some of the successes that he's had within the same industry, we feel pretty confident that we can get really well established. And also, I have never seen in the US anything like what we're doing in terms of the NFT, artwork on the packaging, and another thing that Randy's doing is got QR codes that you scan and will bring you right to it. So some of this viral marketing that I think we're going to have take off, like, it'll say scan here for your next 6-pack, if you want your next 6-pack to be free, just as an example. So you scan the QR code, it brings you in to our world. So, when you're looking at less than 5% of the world being invested in cryptocurrency, and we've got a huge, much, much larger percentage of people that drink alcohol, that drink beer, we have a market that we need to target, and targeting that specifically to bring the non-invested beer drinker into the crypto space, specifically into our world, and invest in Stink and our NFTs, I think is a huge crossover for marketing that we will get to. And yes, to answer your question, I think it is very challenging. Do we have a budget? Yes. Do we have strong support from the community? Yes. And I think that those pieces will be the framework for our jump off. But we also have a couple tricks up our sleeve for raising more money for that specific purpose that we haven't even shared out and we haven't begun to really describe yet. But yes, as far as samples go, I hear you on that. I think that that's something that Randy has shared from his past experience as well. It just helps a lot to have him have those networks established, and also to have the ability to do some of the marketing things like the QR code and the attention grabbing nature of the NFT artwork and the name. Drunk Skunks is going to stand out at you when you see it in the store. And a lot of times some of this artwork and names are like to catch your attention. Like they're meant to grab your attention, or they're meant to be shocking in some way. Here in the States, a lot of them will have like a funny name or a funny artwork, but nothing really like what I've seen. And we've really done a pretty good market analysis. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, very detailed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much also for your question. And it's great to have two guys in here that actually work on kind of similar stuff in completely different regions, completely different markets. I'm always interested in conversation between projects that share similarities but still have their own identity. So maybe one of you guys can learn from the other one, or the other way around. But great to have you, and also very good answer to that question, because I also can see your point that if I walk through the supermarket and I see a beer with like these graphics on it, you know, I'm a consumer. Most likely I would just try one bottle, or I would just take it with me home and put it somewhere, because it's pleasing to look at, the branding is great, and it gets the curiosity of people. And if you combine that, like you said, with a QR code that leads you to the online presence, the circle is basically closed. People from the online world get into the offline world, they get their hands on their beer, and the other way around. Makes perfectly sense, and I wish you great luck also with the marketing introduction of the project, because market launches in the real world are very tricky and a lot of trial and error. But with the knowledge that you have on the team and the experience that one of your team members has, I think you're set pretty good for success. I have another question in the chat, and I don't know if you have to answer already, but since we have heavy drinkers here, people are interested how much alcohol is in there. How much alcohol is in your beer?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so for us, there's two beers that we will be finalizing the flavor profiles on. So I think that Randy's running one of what he believes will be the final test batch for flavor profile wise, or one of the final ones for the pale ale and the lager. So the pale ale right now, as a flavor profile, it's similar to a Sierra Nevada, which is one of the most popular pale ales here in the U.S. So for us, that product will be right around 6%, and then the lager will be a little bit lighter, and it has a flavor profile that's similar to a Yingling lager, which is one of America's oldest breweries here, and a nice drinkable, kind of just accessible lager, just with a really open flavor profile, just really drinkable. So both of them are really drinkable, and that lager will have right around right on a 5%. I'm going to say high 4s, low 5s for the alcohol percentage on that. And then next up we will have a imperial pale ale or imperial stout that I think will be closer to 10%. So that'll be the third product that we roll out once we get these two out, will be a higher alcohol percentage.
Okay, I think these numbers please the people. Like a beer with 10% is it's pretty well already. You can have a few, but not too many.
Yes.
Beside that, are there any questions on the project in the voice chat? Still, everybody is invited to unmute you. I don't mute people in here. If you have any questions, just unmute yourself or link me in the chat, and we still have Jay for a few more minutes. I don't want to time rug you either. But I really enjoyed this AMA today. It's a great project. I love the team aspect to it. Like, you have expertise on board, you have passion on board, you're all full-time in the space, which are pretty good parameters for a project. You took care of security and you take good care of your community. So you made a lot of checkboxes for me. I'm excited for the real life business aspect to the project, because I think this can grow projects pretty well, and it will benefit you hugely on the brand expansion, on the marketing side of things. And with three products that you want to bring into the market, you're very ambitious. And yeah.
Hey Jay, look at the buy. 4.7 BNBs for Stink.
That's a nice one. I saw that. We got some mutations going on too right now, and some NFTs that were sold. So hopefully we got some new members to the club today. It's always a good thing.
Great stuff. Jay, what I want to offer to you is, like, we are a very welcoming community. You got to know Speedy already. It's hard to overlook
I'm ready.
him.
I'm
Wait. Takeoff is in 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes of my stage, and then you're allowed.
Plus.
Okay. So, Jay, what I want to give you on the way is just, you're always welcome. We will do the same, like you mentioned before. If you have any updates, just join or come to our group, post a message. You're always welcome. You booked an AMA at Brave Launch, so now you're part of the family, and we are looking forward to have you around. I will always try to translate so people don't have issues if they're not perfectly speaking English. And yeah, I wish you good luck on your further journey. Project looks great. Like I said several times, I have to take care that I don't get outed as a fanboy now. And if you have some major updates, you're always invited to come back for an update here as well. I have another communication round. We overdid it today a bit. In general, we do 30 minutes. We provided you the stage for an hour, but good projects deserve it. And if nobody has any questions, I would just open the floor and we start to have a community hangout. Feel free to talk about everything you want. The last question that I will ask every project in this room is, Jay, are you bearish or are you bullish on the market?
Well, I'm bullish. I mean, I'm bullish because I think that I'm bullish for, obviously the market as a whole, just with everything that I think has, the potential that cryptocurrency has, but also I'm bullish on NFTs and specifically on BNB chain NFTs because there is so much room to grow. And if you're in a project like Drunk Skunks that is, pushing and at the top already, and then we have a bull run where NFTs, I think, all the signs of what CZ is looking at behind the scenes and some of the things he's doing point towards big support for BNB chain NFTs coming. But, when you're early in a space like BNB chain NFTs and you can get in at the top like this, at a project like that is at the top, and then the bull run comes, you're just going to be positioned in a great place, not only as a member of the club, but a holder of a Drunk Skunks NFT. And one of the ones that I think will fly once BNB chain NFTs start flying, because there's so much innovation that can be brought here from Solana devs that's currently being brought here from Solana, from ETH, and that there's so much room to grow here. So I think that I'm bullish, man. I'm bullish on BNB chain NFTs specifically, and as the market as a whole as well.
Perfect. I love to collect bulls. I'm one myself. So let's celebrate this great space and grow together. It was a pleasure to have you over for our second Bravetalk, and I'm looking forward for you to return to the stage, have another conversation. And with that being said, I'm going to start the recording. Thank you so much, Jay, for being here today. Thank you so much, everybody in that room that shared the time with us. We all know, and I say this in every AMA, in every pitch that I do, but it comes straight from my heart. We know that time is the most valuable good in this space, and you gave some of your time to me and to Jay and to the Drunk Skunk Drinking Club today. And I want to thank everybody in here for that. Check out their amazing project, check out their community. And with that being said, thank you very much and see you next time.
Yes, let's go. Let's go.